Hello student, my name is Ritesh Yadav. I am assistant professor in the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Ajak Magar Engineering College, Ghaziabad. So today I am going to start a network analysis and synthesis. So in today's lecture, I will discuss circuit element, type of sources, Kirchhoff's current law, Kirchhoff's voltage law, current division rule, voltage division rule, source transformation. So these are the basics of the network analysis. So first we will see circuit element. So resistance, inductance and capacitance. So these are the basic circuit element. So these are passive element. So this resistance which opposes the flow of current and the unit of resistance is ohm, and this resistance dissipates the energy in the form of heat. So this is the symbol of the resistance. So suppose you are applying the voltage V across this resistance, so current will flow through the resistance. So here you can see this is the current which is flowing through the resistance. Suppose this is the terminal A and this is terminal B, okay, and when the current will flow from terminal A to terminal B, in that case the positive sign will be here and the negative sign will be at terminal B, okay. And in another case, suppose the current is flowing in this direction from terminal B to terminal A. In that case, the positive sign will be at terminal B and the negative sign will be at terminal A. So this is the sign convention for the resistance, which is very important. Then inductance. So inductance stores the energy in the form of magnetic field and it does not allow the sudden change of current. So this point is very important. Then unit of inductance is Henry and energy stored by the inductor is E, which is equal to half Li square. So this is the symbol of the inductor. So voltage which is given by L di by dt, and this is the I which is flowing through the inductor. So here will be a positive sign and here will be a negative sign. So when this inductor will store the energy, so this is the direction of current and this is the polarity of the voltage. But suppose this inductor will release the energy. So here you can see second point, it does not allow the sudden change of current. So this direction of current will not change, okay, only this polarity, this polarity will reverse when this inductor will release the energy. Then capacitance. So this capacitance stores the energy in the form of electrostatic field and it opposes the sudden change of voltage. Again, this is important point. So it is measured in farad and energy stored by capacitor is half CV square. Then you can calculate the current I, which is equal to C dV by dt. So this V is the voltage across the capacitor. Then next is type of sources. So there are voltage source and current source. So then further voltage source is divided into two categories: independent voltage source, dependent voltage source. Then again dependent voltage source is divided into two categories. This VDVC is the voltage dependent voltage source and this CDVS is the current dependent voltage source. Then here you can see current source. So again this current source is further divided into two categories: independent and dependent current source. Then dependent current source, again voltage dependent current source and current dependent current source. First we will see independent voltage source. So in the independent voltage source there are, again the first one is ideal voltage source, then we will see practical voltage source. So in the ideal voltage source the internal resistance is 0 and here you can see IV characteristic of the ideal voltage source. So this voltage is constant irrespective of the current. The next one is the practical voltage source. So here you can see Rs, that is the internal resistance of the voltage source. This you can see. So V output is the terminal voltage, you can say, if the load is connected, and this is the IV characteristic of the practical voltage source. So here you can see, suppose a load is connected here, this is the RL load and this is the load current IL, and this is V output voltage, or you can say terminal voltage. So this terminal voltage is given by supply voltage minus load current into the total resistance Rs plus. So actually here you are calculating the Vt. So just take Rs. So when this load current will increase, this terminal voltage will decrease. So here you can see, when the current is increasing, this voltage, terminal voltage is decreasing. So this is the I into Rs drop, this one. Then dependent voltage source. So this is voltage dependent voltage source. So in the voltage dependent voltage source, here you can see alpha into V. So this V is the value of the voltage of some other branch. Then current dependent voltage source. So alpha into I. So I is the current which is flowing through some other network element. So these are the dependent voltage source. Then current source. So independent current source. So in the independent current source, first you see ideal current source. So in case of the ideal current source, the internal resistance is infinite, and this is the constant current source. So this value of I is constant, that is Is. Then practical current source. So in case of practical current source, here you can see a resistance which is connected in parallel with the Is. So this is IV characteristic of the practical current source. So just see, current I, you just find out this, you just apply the KCL at this point. So I naught, which is the output current, that is equal to Is minus IR. So IR is the current through resistance Rp. You should just simply connect a load here, RL load. Okay. So output current I naught, which is equal to Is minus IR. IR is Vt by V output voltage, because this voltage is across this resistance and IR is flowing like this. So V output divided by Rp. Okay. So this equation will give this curve. So this is the drop, V output divided by Rp. Then dependent current source. So again, current dependent current source and voltage dependent current source. So in the current dependent current source, this value alpha into I. So this I value is the current which is flowing through some other element. Then again this alpha into V. So, this V is the voltage across some other element in same network. Let us see Kirchhoff's current law. So, what is the Kirchhoff's current law? Algebraic sum of the current at any junction is 0. So, in this diagram you can see incoming current I1, I2, I3 and the outgoing current I4, I5. Okay. So, you can take, suppose this is the node, and at this node if current is entering, so you can take negative sign, and suppose the current is leaving from the node, in that case you can take positive, and it is a sign convention. Okay, you can take positive here and negative here, it totally depend upon you. So, this here you can see I1, I2, I3, these are entering current. So, you can take positive or negative. If you are taking positive for the entering current, you have to take negative for the leaving current. So, here you can see, so you just better you just take 1 minute. Just take positive for the entering current and negative for the current which is leaving the junction. So, I1, I2, I3 are the current which are leaving. So, here you can see plus I1, plus I2, plus I3, then current I4 and I5. So, these current are leaving the node. So, you can take negative sign. Okay. So, the algebraic sum of the current at any junction will be 0. So, here you can see current entering the node equals to current leaving the node. How? You just solve this equation I1 plus I2 plus I3 which is equal to I4 plus I5. So, I1, I2, I3 are the entering current and I4, I5 are the leaving current. And this Kirchhoff's law is based on, this Kirchhoff's current law is based on conservation of charge. Next is Kirchhoff's voltage law. So, algebraic sum of voltage in any closed loop is equal to 0, and this Kirchhoff's voltage law is based on conservation of energy. Okay. So, here you can see this circuit. Suppose you want to apply a Kirchhoff's KVL in this circuit. So, this is the battery and this battery or voltage source you can say. So, this voltage source will supply current I. So, this current is flowing through this circuit like this. Okay. Now, apply the KVL. So, in this resistance the current is flowing like this. So, the positive sign will be here and negative sign will be here. Again the current is flowing like this. So, positive sign will be here and negative sign will be this part. Then again positive and negative. Suppose this is the V1 voltage drop across the resistance R1, and V2 that is the voltage drop across the resistance R2, and V3 that is voltage drop across the resistance R3. So, this is the supply voltage. So, V, you just apply the KVL. So, always, so this is plus V, I am taking this polarity, then you just take this one minus V1, then minus V2, then minus V3, put equal to 0. Okay. So, this is the KVL equation. Okay, and V1 is equal to I into R1, V2 is equal to I into R2, and V3 which is equal to I into R3. So this way you can find out the KVL equation. Now see current division rule. Okay, so you can apply a current division rule if two resistors are connected in parallel. Okay, and this current, suppose this current I is known, or you can calculate by using some other method. So first you have to find out this current I. So this resistance R1 and R2 are connected in parallel. So R equivalent will be R1 parallel with R2. So that is R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. Okay. Now current I, that is equal to V divided by R equivalent. So from here you can write V, which is equal to I into R equivalent. So that V is equal to, you just put R equivalent value here, I into R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. Okay. Now suppose you want to find out the current through resistance R1. Suppose this is the I1 current and the current I2 is through resistance R2. Okay, you know voltage will same across parallel branch because this R1 and R2 are connected in parallel. Okay, this voltage will appear across this resistance and across this resistance because in parallel voltage will be same. So the current I, that is equal to V by R1 because this I1 current is flowing through the resistance R1. So I1 is equal to V by R1. Similarly, you can write I2 which is equal to V by R2. Now put this V value here, this place. So you can write I into R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So this is the value of V. Now 1 divided by R1. So this R1 will cancel out. So you can write I into R2 divided by R1 plus R2. Similarly, you can find out the I2 value. So I2 value will be I into R1 divided by R1 plus R2. Okay. So suppose if this I current is known and you want to find out I1 and I2 value. Okay. So just simply you can use this formula. Suppose you want to find out I1, okay, and this current, total current I is known. So you just multiply this total current with opposite branch resistance and divide this value by total resistance. Similarly, you can find out current I2, total current I, multiply this total current with opposite branch resistance, divide by total resistance R1 plus R2. So let's see this example. Find the current through 6 ohm resistance. So you have to find out current through 6 ohm resistance. So by using current division rule, okay, you have so many methods to find out the current through 6 ohm resistance, but here I am trying to solve this question by using current division method. Okay, so just find out the current through 6 ohm resistance. So first you have to find out the total current which is supplied by this voltage source. So here you can see this 6 ohm and 3 ohm resistance are connected in parallel. Okay. So what will be the R equivalent? Because this 6 ohm and 3 ohm which are connected in parallel. So first you find out R equivalent of 6 and 3 ohm resistance. So 6 plus 3. So you will get 2 ohm. Okay. Then this 2 ohm resistance, the circuit will become like this. This is 4 ohm. After combining 6 ohm, 3 ohm, you will get 2 ohm. So this 2 ohm will be in series with 4 ohm. Okay. So this is the current I. So the current I is the total current supplied by the voltage source. 24 divided by 4 plus 2. So 24 divided by 6. So it will be 4 ampere. Now you have the total current 4 ampere. So apply the current division rule. So you are calculating the current through 6 ohm resistance. Suppose this is the I1 current. Okay. So current I1 which is equal to total current, that is 4 ampere. Then multiply this current with the opposite branch resistance 3 ohm, then divide by total resistance 6 plus 3. So it will be 12 by 9. So this is 4 by 3 ampere. So this way you can find out the current I1 through 6 ohm resistance by using current division rule. Let's see voltage division rule for the network which consists resistance. Then we will see for the inductance and capacitance as well. So first see for the resistance. So when the two resistors are connected in series and the input supply voltage is V, so how you can find out voltage across the resistance R1 and R2? So this voltage source will supply the current I, okay, and the voltage drop across resistance R1 is suppose VR1 and across R2 is VR2. So you know VR1 is the voltage drop across resistance R1, that is I is the current which is flowing through resistance R1. Multiply this current with resistance R1. Okay. Now find out the current value I. So I is equal to V divided by total resistance R1 plus R2. Now put this value here. So you will get V divided by R1 plus R2 into R1. Okay. So VR1 is equal to V into R1 divided by R1 plus R2. Similarly, you can find out the voltage drop across resistance R2. So that is VR2. So V multiply this V value R2 divided by R1 plus R2. Okay. So here in this circuit you can see this is the input supply voltage. Suppose you want to find out the voltage drop across resistance R1. Okay. So this voltage drop across resistance R1, that is VR1. So just multiply this resistance value with this input supply voltage and divide the whole value by total resistance. Similarly, you can find out the VR2. Now see for the inductance. So again, suppose the voltage drop across the resistance L1 is VL1 and across L2 is VL2. So you can write VL1 So VL1 is L1 di by dt, because I is the current which is flowing through L1 and L2, and VL2 is L2 di by dt. Okay, and you can also write Vs, that is equal to L equivalent di by dt. So L equivalent is nothing but L1 plus L2. So you can write at the place of, sorry, this Vs is equal to Lq di by dt. So just find out this di by dt value from here. So di by dt, which is equal to Vs divided by L equivalent, and L equivalent is nothing but L1 plus L2. Okay, now put this di by dt value at this place and at this place. So VL1, which is equal to L1 into Vs divided by L1 plus L2. So you can write VL1, which is equal to Vs, input supply voltage, into L1 divided by L1 plus L2. Similarly, you can write VL2, that is Vs into L2 divided by L1 plus L2. Now see for the capacitance. So again, I is the current which is flowing through capacitance C1 and C2. This VC1 is the voltage across capacitance C1, and VC2 is the voltage across capacitor C2. So here you can see what will be the C equivalent. When the capacitance are connected in series, in that case C equivalent will be C1 C2 divided by C1 plus C2. And one more thing, when the capacitance are connected in series, in that case the charge will be same. So Q is equal to C into V. So first take the total voltage Vs and the equivalent capacitance Cq. So this will be Cq, and this is the supply voltage Vs. Okay. Now again Vc1 is equal to Q by C1, and Vc2, that is equal to Q by C2. Okay. Because in series, when the capacitors are connected in series, this charge will be same. So at the place of Q, you can write C equivalent Vs. So at the place of C Eq, you can put C1 C2 divided by C1 plus C2 into Vs. Okay. Now put this Q value here. So you will get Vc1, which is equal to C1 C2 divided by C1 plus C2 Vs, and in divided by 1 C1. So this C1 will cancel out. So Vc1 will be C2 divided by C1 plus C2 into Vs. Similarly, you can find out Vc2. So Vc2 is equal to C1 divided by C1 plus C2 into Vs. Okay, so here you can see when you are calculating the voltage across the capacitance C2, in that case you have to multiply this total voltage source with this capacitance C1. Okay, and in case of the resistance and inductance, when you are calculating the voltage drop across the resistance and inductance, in that case you have to multiply, just see, suppose this is the resistance R1 and R2. Okay, so when you are calculating the voltage drop across the resistance R1, so in that case you have to multiply this R1 with input supply voltage Vs and divide this value R1 plus R2. But here when you are calculating the voltage drop across the capacitance C2, in that case you have to multiply this input supply voltage Vs with C1, then divide with total capacitance C1 plus C2. Thank you.